Before the first stone of the great citadels was laid, before the heroes of Greece had become names etched in clay, there was a silence that waited for the return of kings. It is a silence that haunts the halls of power Stilla the heavy, suffocating quiet that falls when a war is won. But the soul of the victor has been left to rot on a foreign field. We return to the beginning of the end, to the moment the tide washed red on the shores of Troy, to tell the story of a king who thought he was coming home to glory, only to find that his own palace had become a slaughterhouse. This is the tragedy of Agamemnon, a tale of blood for blood, where the sins of the father are paid for by the flesh of the son. Cast your mind back to the age of bronze, to the wind-swept plains of Argos. This is a world carved by the sword, a cosmos where the gods do not love men, but rather play with them like pieces on a grisly board. The Greeks, or Achaeans as they called themselves, were a people bound by oaths and honor, but also by a savage, ancient code of vengeance. For 10 years, the flower of their manhood had sailed across the wine-dark sea to besiege the towering walls of Ilium. They burned cities to the ground and turned the Scamander River crimson with the blood of princes. And at the helm of this vast, thirsty armada stood Agamemnon, the king of men, lord of Mycenae. He was a figure of thunderous authority, a man who carried the weight of 1,000 ships on his broad shoulders, unaware that the heaviest weight of all was waiting for him at his own door. The war is over. Troy is ash. The great Hector is dead, his body dragged behind a chariot, and the cunning Odysseus has finally cracked the walls of the city with his wooden horse. The Greeks gather their plunder of the gold, the women, the Gloria, and turn their prows toward the horizon. But the gods are not finished with them. The sea turns against the fleet. Poseidon, the earth shaker, sends storms to scatter the ships and drown the boastful. It is a long, arduous journey home. Many ships are lost, swallowed by the hungry waves, and many men never see the sun set on their native soil again. Agamemnon survives, but his survival is a curse. He arrives at the shores of Argos not as a conqueror riding the crest of victory, but as a hollow man limping back toward a destiny that has been sharpening a knife for him. Waiting for him is his queen, Clytemnestra. She is not the meek, weeping wife left behind. She is a force of nature, a towering figure of rage and cold calculation. While Agamemnon was bedding slave girls in the east, she was nursing a venomous grudge in the west. Years ago, Agamemnon had committed the sacrilege of sacrilege. To appease an angry goddess and ensure the winds would blow his fleet to Troy, he had raised his own knife against their daughter, Iphigenia. He lured the girl to the docks under the pretense of a wedding, only to spill her innocent blood on the altar. He traded a child for a war, and now the bill has come due. As the king's ship pulls into the harbor, a watchman on the roof of the palace sees the signal fire blaze in the night. He shouts the news to the sleeping city. The king is home. The mood is festive, but beneath the cheers, there's a tremor of dread. Clytemnestra steps out to greet her husband, her face a mask of stone, her heart a drumbeat of hate. In her arms, she holds their son, Orestes, a small, innocent witness to the coming storm. By her side walks her true lover, Aegisthus, a cousin of Agamemnon and the living vessel of a blood feud that spans generations. Aegisthus is the weak arm of the axe, but Clytemnestra is the blade. Agamemnon steps down from his chariot, his armor still smelling of salt and smoke. He speaks the words of a conqueror, but they sound hollow in the courtyard of his home. He is accompanied by his own prize of war, the prophetess Cassandra, the daughter of the fallen king Priam. She is a woman driven mad by visions, cursed to speak the truth and never be believed. She stumbles from the chariot, her eyes wide with the sight of the invisible world. She smells the blood. She feels the ghosts of the murdered children haunting the corridors. She screams to the gods that the house is a shambles, a butcher shop, but the people only stare. She sees the net being woven around the king, but no one lifts a hand to stop it. Clytemnestra plays her part perfectly. With a voice dripping in false honey, she orders her servants to spread crimson tapestries on the ground, creating a path of red luxury for her husband to walk upon. It is the color of victory, she insists. It is the color of gods. Agamemnon, wary of offending the divine with such arrogance, hesitates. But pride is the drug of kings, and eventually he succumbs. He walks the red road into his palace, leaving the dust of the world for the darkness of his own doom. Once inside, the doors of the palace are slammed shut. The heavy bronze bars drop, sealing the fate of a king. The feast begins, but the food tastes of ash. The wine is sour. In the inner chambers, Clytemnestra strips her husband of his armor. She trapped him in the net. She has woven a robe with no sleeves that binds his arms tight against his body. He is helpless, a lion caught in a snare. And then she reveals the axe. The strike is not sudden. It is deliberate, a release of 10 years of accumulated grief. She brings the heavy iron down. Once, twice, Agamemnon falls, his cry cut short by the crushing blow to his skull. The great king of men, who commanded the armies of Greece, dies not on the battlefield amidst the clash of bronze, but naked and trapped in his own bathtub, murdered by the woman he called his wife. Outside, the people of Argos hear the thud of the axe, and then the terrible silence. When the doors finally groan open, Clytemnestra stands there, blood soaking her robes to the hem. She is not a woman broken by guilt. She is a woman vindicated. She holds the head of Agamemnon by the hair, a grisly trophy of her victory. She declares to the terrified chorus that she has killed him not for love of another, but for justice. She claims the spirit of revenge, the fury of the murdered Iphigenia guided her hand. She tells them that the cycle of violence is finally broken, that the sacrifice is complete. But she is wrong. The violence is never finished. It only changes hands. Cassandra, the prophetess who saw it all, lies dead beside him, her warnings silenced by the sword of Aegisthus. And waiting in the shadows is Orestes, the young son who has been sent away to safety, but who will one day return to answer the primal call of the blood. The ancient law is simple. Blood must be paid for with blood. A son must avenge a father, even if that son must kill his own mother to do it. The Greeks told this story to understand the terrifying cost of ambition and the corrosive nature of vengeance. Agamemnon's return is a warning that the past is never dead. It is not even past. The war was won, but the victory was hollow. The king thought he had satisfied the gods with the death of his daughter, but the gods are greedy creditors, and they always collect the interest with interest. This myth forces us to look at the dark heart of the familia, that the people we love the most are often the ones who hold the knives. It taught the ancients that hubris, that overreaching pride, brings a man low, but that treachery destroys a soul. It is the tragedy of the household turned inside out, where the